Whenever we talk about love language, it's always about receiving and giving, or how you treat people, that kind of thing. And you know, it's there's one thing that I thought of lah, since it's something that people are aware of, but then it's never talked, it's never like mentioned whenever we're talking in the category or topic of love language, and that is self-love language. And even if if people say, hey man, love yourself, and the very first thing that I think lah, especially, I don't know how people think, but probably majority lah, it would be like looking yourself in the mirror and then like, hey man, you're cool, you're beautiful, you are doing great, love you, that kind of thing lah. And that's the only thing that I think lah, love yourself. And the only thing that as I said, that's the only thing that I could think of. And surprisingly, how you treat others, depending on your love language, you can actually apply it to yourself. Hello there, you're listening to Zolimoli's Thoughts and Knots podcast, where I talk about things that interest me or bothers me. And this time I'm going to talk something that is kinda interesting to me, especially because the recent episode I've been talking about something that is bothering saja. So this time I'm going to change up a bit. I'm going to talk about something that is actually interesting to me lah. I don't know if some people, if you click it or you're listening, probably it is interesting to you lah kan? True. So before I jump into the main dish of the podcast, let's just mention few recent news, I guess, nationwide, nation scale, personal scale, whatever is happening. But on a nationwide scale, by nation I mean Malaysia, congratulations, we hit 9k, the number of cases. It's bad, but guess what? Congratulations lah for getting those number. What is this, subscriber kind of thing? No, it's, of course it is bad. I'm just being sarcastic. Don't take it too seriously. It's sarcasm. It's bad. At the same time, even if it's high, I hope, I don't know lah. Yeah, long story short, how do I say? Well, this time it might not be just a white flag that I'm going to wave, but probably a black flag. But at the same time, you might be charged for doing so, because I think the one we are governed, as I said multiple times, we are governed by baboons who are easily butthurt. And because of that, whatever we do seems as if they want to take charge and be like, more, we can do this, and yet they're not doing properly. But at the same time, it's both sides. At the same time, I have no freaking idea, because I'm always inside my room or in my house, barely going out. But at the same time, I don't know. Yeah, that kind of thing. Man, everything is complicated, kan? Yeah. So since if I wave a white flag or help someone who is waving a white flag, or I myself waving a black flag, and if I do so, I might get charged for, I don't know, because I don't know again. If so, let us all wave the Pahang flag, because you can't charge us for waving Pahang flag, of course. Yeah. And other than that, I wrote the government is becoming a sitcom, situation comedy kind of thing, because I think it's we are I always say this, we are in the middle of pandemic, and not only that, it's not funny, it's as if they're working in a showbiz, everything is a drama and everything is just troublesome. And it's just like, there's too much happenings, and that is not contributing to lower the curve or lower the number or fastening the number of vaccine getting distributed, etc. Those the things that is actually important, but the only thing that is keep on popping up in news headlines is, diarrhea, durian, what else? I mean, at the same time, some people might not know because probably you are following people who are not really aware, I guess, because now we are connected through Instagram most of the time. So if you're on Instagram, pretty much you will know what is happening because people are very fast to share news. Yeah, and aside from that, putting the problem aside, I mean, we can't put it aside, but at the same time, talking about it, putting the talk about the situation aside, me personally, I finally got a job. Yay! As a motion graphic designer in the studio, and I'm like, yes, finally something that I can do and I understand and I actually love doing instead of doing something that I did not study and then having a boss who is actually not really a boss or an environment where blunders are not meant to happen. If you are creating blunders in your work, then you might get, you're stupid, that kind of thing. And this time, I have a great feeling. Like, I'm excited to start working at that studio, and I'm like, yes, yeah. However, since I'm talking, like, when it's funny how I started this podcast, I was like, I cannot talk about current issues, and that's all, because I was like very afraid of what people would think, and at the same time, like, you know what, I will cite whichever is being trampled on, especially if you are being trampled by people who have roles and positions and power, and it's unfair, that kind of thing, I can talk about. Like, I can see that it is unfair. And so I became to like start slowly easing into like, hey, I can talk about these kind of stuff now. And when I start talking about it, because when you're working in a company or any place, the idea of like you cannot stain your company's name, like no matter what kind of, you cannot do anything that would jeopardize the, what do you call, it's not popularity or fame, the name, I guess, yeah, that kind of thing. So I might have to refrain from talking openly, which is something I'm kind of sad about, because I think podcast is one way or another for me to speak up openly about something without having, having too much like restraints and something like that. But yeah, unless the company, the studio is like, hey, we are like on the same boat, we agree on this and this, and if there is such issues that the whole majority are facing or minority is facing, and we're like, we should talk about it, and hey, because I don't know, yeah, why am I from blabbering? So yeah, moving on, jumping onto the train of talk, and we'll be like going through stations talking about love language. And as I mentioned in the very beginning of this episode, we always talk about love language, but what about self-love language? And yeah, so before like I dwell into the idea of what is self-language anyway, let's just slowly creep in, not really creep lah, flip over, scroll, skim whatever the word is. What is love language actually? I mean, there is a definition. I mean, I don't know. I didn't read the definition. I only know the categories of what are the languages of love. And before that, it's this topic has been like quite long enough, like 2 years, I guess, 2, 3, 5. I have no freaking idea, but people are starting to know what this is, like quite recent. And then I was like, this is an interesting thing to talk about. But at the same time, I saw a video of someone saying love language is a lie. So I was like, okay, I guess this is not something that can be trusted. And then as I like slowly like listening to like music in my own room, dark room, and then just like pondering about it, and I'm like, it's probably half true, not that true, but at the same time it can be true to people, because I think in this world what we lack is love and care. And when I say love, it doesn't really have to be sexual. It doesn't really have to be like, hey, wanna Netflix and chill and kind of thing. No. It can be like you, for instance, there is a thing, love language in friendship. Like, it's not that you want, hey, I want to be your partner forever or that kind of thing. It's just that you appreciate their presence and you want to say, hey, thank you. But then I know thank you is not something that is enough. So I need to do something to show my appreciation, that kind of thing. And yeah, and at the same time, to rebut to those who are saying love language is like, it's a lie, it's not true. I mean, at the same time, like we are still in a world where we lack and deprived of love and care kind of thingy. It's cringy, but at the same time, yeah, it's true. Because we were never familiar. We are not familiar with this kind of like world of showing, hey, I like you in a platonic way, quoted by a friend from uni. And at the same time, yeah, we are just, and to those who are not like, they are not aware, like, how do I do this? I want to say thank you, but I know it's not enough. Then the idea of love language is that to show like, hey, you can do this. It's like, sometimes when you're like, for instance, I mention what are the 5 languages of love. The first one would be words of affirmation, where you push people up, not really push, you like kind of bring people up by saying, hey, you look nice, you play the guitar, like, that's great, etc. Hey, by words of affirmation, you affirm that the person is actually doing great, good, superb, awesome, etc. blah blah blah. The next one would be acts of service, where you just kinda just do something for the other person without words or with words, depending. You can mix and match, but sometimes just doing something like a massage or buying stuff. No, not buying, not yet. Doing something nice for someone, that is acts of service. So the third one is quality time, and long story short, it would just you spending with someone, and that's pretty much quality time. And this is not known to people much because, there's a term where people say awkward silence. And at first, everyone has this like idea or the means to not keep anything or any time when you're hanging out, just silence. That you cannot stand the silence. I mean, at the same time, some people cannot, but some people also, I realized this, just hanging out with someone or a friend or two, ikut lah how many people, and then just sitting in silence, probably late night in the middle of court ke apa, just like enjoying the idea of, oh hey, you're here, this is nice. And yeah, it's that is one thing that I realized I like doing. But then at the same time, I'm like more, I get antsy because it's like, is this person okay with the silence? I'm like, should I talk or something? But at the same time, if you ever, one thing that I would like say, awkward silence, not every silence should be awkward. It can actually be pleasing, like it's fun. It's not really fun, it's more of a it's nice. Yeah, something like that lah. And the fourth one is something that is actually most common, like if you like someone or you like appreciate someone. I mean, this is something that everyone has done from the very beginning. I know, from the beginning of time, I guess, which is giving gifts. And actually, yeah, people really, it's like the easiest way you can say, hey, thank you for everything, without saying it, and you're just like, here for you. I mean, it's a very kind of like stoic way, like not really stoic, the word probably is like, you're shy to say that, hey, I kind of like being around you. I mean, as I said, it's not always, it doesn't have to be sexual or I want to marry you kind of, I like you, that kind of nian. Or it's just an appreciation. Yeah, it's just a form of appreciation. And yeah, giving gifts is something that everyone can do or it has been done ever since. And the last one will be physical touch. And to share mine, because me with friends, I mean, depending on the ones who are actually open with it lah. Uh, I'm actually I actually like getting hugs from people. I mean, depending like if they want it, then I mean if they are open, as in if they are like they like getting hugs also, then hey, here's a hug. Or not really just like randomly hugging lah. It's just more of a, you're walking in and suddenly, oh, friend over there, run and long time no see. That kind of Nila, that kind of physical touch. Or other than hugs, it would be head pats, shoulder pats, just pats. And one thing also about me is that I like giving head pats to people who need them. Like, it's like a form of like, you're doing great, no worries, if there's anything you can just say, you can talk to me, that kind of vibe lah. Because one thing I can share a story is that during high school final year SPM, study like hell, one of the batchmate, she was like kind of, probably she looks stressed out, but then she's covering because, as I said, we are not allowed to show that we are not okay, and that's cool somehow. But then we were talking, and then it's like trying to uplift. You can do it, Chana. How are you? Can you do it? And etc. And then it changed a bit to like, how you doing? And then yeah, chantula, yeah, like that. It's not really. I'm not doing great, but then at the same time, what can we do? 3 months more. I guess it was 3 months more, but then we're studying like hell. And the very first thing that I think of is like giving headpats, but then at the same time we were the opposite sex, and being in an SBPI where it's like kind of a religious school, Islamic school, you cannot touch each other, as in the opposite sex cannot touch each other. And I felt like, you know what, you need a headpat, but then since I cannot like actually directly headpat you, so I just gave in an air headpat, like, you're doing great, no worries. gambare, gambare, that kind of thing. And then the next thing was like she was crying, and I'm like, oh shit. It's not, and as much as I felt like, oh shit, I messed up, couple, and at the same time, I guess that's the button, not really button or a push. Like, how do I say it? Some people just need to let out, like, I'm not okay, and it's okay. As I said, if you're not okay with something, it's okay to not be okay. And I'm not mentioning the title of a Korean drama because the title of that Korean drama is actually Lost in Translation. Yeah. So yeah, those are the 5 languages of love. And once again, I say, when it comes to love language, it does not have to be sexual. I mean, it can be if you have a partner or you're already married, that kind of thingy majiggle, then hey, you need that. If you're in a platonic relationship, with friends and everyone, family, it doesn't have to be sexual. Yeah, is what I would tekankan. It would emphasize. So I was like, since we're talking about like love language, again, it's always the receive and about giving and receiving, or pretty much how you give out to people again. And then I was like listening to this podcast talking about love language in friendship by Tabletop Podcast. And yeah, one thing that I can agree on is that your own default love language versus our desired love language, which is receiving. And I cannot say bulat-bulat, I can't say like 100% accurate what he said in the podcast, but what you give is actually what you want to receive. And my idea is that, not really my idea, not my insight on that again, is that the idea of not getting something. For instance, not getting gifts. Me personally, I rarely get gifts from people. It's not that I want people to, because I mean, at the same time, it would be nice to have some. Like, I mean, whenever I got like gifts from people, I'm like super duper excited because it's very nice to get. So since I know the idea of like, because how does that? I'm not the type of person where I would be uplifted or be happy with just plain words. I am more of a person where actions speak louder than words, or something that is actually real in front of you rather than just empty words. But I mean, that's just me, because some words are actually, some people may say upper actions speak louder than words, but words are sharper than swords. Man, it's a constant like pusing, and there's no right or wrong. It depends on the person, like how they function. And I am a person where I appreciate more something that is done rather than empty words, which is weird because whenever I say that, I'll be like, but Zul, you're doing podcasts, you're talking a lot. I don't know how to rebut that. Yeah, but then since, okay, if you've known me, okay, not really lah. Not everyone knows me, but for me personally, I like giving gifts to people. Since I said what you give out the most is what you want to receive the most at the same time. And I like giving gifts to people, not because I want like, hey, here's a birthday gift and I expect something in return, that kind of thing. No, it's just that I get like the same happiness by giving things, like giving bubble tea ke apa, like hey, belanja, or like spending, or what do you call, belanja people makan, that kind of thing. I mean, it's not only that it benefits the other person, but at the same time, I feel like, hey, if you're happy, I'm happy, which is very cringy. But at the same time, yeah, I do feel so. I'm not really that stingy when it comes to giving something. Yeah, something. But yeah, where was I again? Oh yeah, and that is where I and where that is where it is true actually. Like you give what you give is what something you actually not lack, but you really really want to receive. And it's not because you're not being appreciated or you're not appreciating the people around you or something. It's just that it would be nice to have that form. Like for instance, there's like the five love language again, the words of affirmation, acts of service, physical touch. I mean, at the same time, people are just deprived of the idea of love or care or saying that, hey, you're doing great, being cared for. Then sometimes we just crave for more. I'm not sure if that's the actual word, but yeah, that is it. And when it comes to like when you're the person giving, we don't really have a specific like, hey, I'm a words of affirmation kind of person when I want to say, hey, I care for you, hey, you look nice, you can do it, wow, that kind of thing. You're not just that. I mean, it can be your default love language, but at the same time, we're very adaptive to different person. Like every single person, depending like if they know you, if a group of people know you, then pretty much, oh, this guy loves giving gifts. Oh, this person loves giving TED talk, not really TED talk, motivational talks or something, or like giving out, or pretty much this person loves art, then actually they would know. But at the same time, if you're like meeting different people or you just starting to know someone, and of course you'd be like, what kind of things that this other person that I just knew would love to get in order for me to show that I appreciate your presence. I appreciate being your friend, that kind of thing. And so you kind of like go through. I mean, if you're not talking about the love language, you'll be thinking that I could belanja him makan, or I could give the person something, a gift, or I could just hang out and just watch a movie together, or going on a trip. Then you would go one by one, like what would be nice. So we are adaptive to show how we care for someone. It's not just like we're not very when it comes to showing we care or we love someone. You know what? Either or, we are adaptive to give. Like when I say adaptive, it's not just by words, probably physical or gifts or quality time, service, that kind of thing. Not only that, the giver are like adaptive, but on the receiving end also, we are not adaptive. The word adaptive is very kinda like, oh, you're not appreciating my love. But pretty much what I would say is that if you're on the receiving end, you pretty much feel happy no matter what. Even if you're like, I don't like this. Pretty much long story short, you're just happy to be on the receiving end. And guess what? It will be in like a constant, hey, you gave me this, here's in return. And then it will be like a constant repeat. Depending, like it's not always, but that sometimes probably once a year, like birthdays. Yeah. And also, when we're talking about, since I said that there's a default and what you like to receive, there's five. Definitely, as much as I say you like when you're on the receiving end, pretty much you would be happy. And as much as that is true, there are also, I mean, let's just be frank lah. If there is a five form of like love language, there is definitely the first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Like, which one do you prefer the most? I mean, yeah, that is kind of true. And mine would be, I don't know, because every time, like for instance lah, when it comes to birthdays, I don't like celebrating my own. I mean, I don't mind celebrating people's birthday, but then I don't like celebrating mine because I feel like I don't deserve to be celebrated because I prefer that my happiness or something that is special is done by myself rather than someone else. Because I know the idea of people giving, no, 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 just don't give something. Just wish me happy birthday and that is all. I'm cool with that because I know it feels heavy, or I feel like I don't deserve to get such treatment or occasion. Yeah, but at the same time, if I do get something, of course I would be like, yeah, thank you. But I would be like, I feel no, I don't deserve this. Yeah, so I prefer to like if it's my own birthday or if I've done something that is, hey, I've achieved something like doing 5 episode or 7 episode of podcast in 7 days, that kind of thing, and then I would actually just reward myself because it's a self achievement. I mean, I wouldn't be like, hey, I did 7 episode in 7 days every day non-stop, give me something. It would be like kinda, that's weird, and it's kinda like tak tahu malu, like are you not ashamed of it? That kind of thing. Because mostly if I were to like be open about it, I'm more result oriented or goal oriented. I actually like doing something that is not done by people, like for instance projection mapping, that I've always proud of ever since, no matter how embarrassing the exhibition was, but at the same time I'm very proud of the work that I've done. And in the future I would really love to do an art exhibition fully on projection mapping. This is something lah. And since I say like I like to reward myself because when that 7 episode in 7 days challenge podcast, that kind of thing I did, the very first thing that I reward myself is I sleep. Because yes, obviously it's tiring, but the next thing, the other thing that I actually do for myself is actually I bought things for myself. Like in my Shopee cart, there's like something that I've always kept for like months and I did not buy it because I feel like, nope, I'm going to hold on that thought until I've done something, then I would reward myself with that. And yeah, what did I bought? Kalimba, a Haori, an extra sweater, and LED message light box. Yeah, I mean it's not something very wah wah like, and but at the same time, hey, I deserved it. It's been in my cart for so long, then, and I've always wanted it. Then I get it for myself lah. And yeah, that is an example of self-love language. We're all, whenever we talk about this kind, whenever we talk about love language, it's always about giving and receiving. But what about to yourself? Because you know yourself better, rather than like having to expect people, hey, I want gifts, give me presents, that kind of, oh, hey, I like quality time, spend time more with me, or hey, I like hugs, give me more hugs. Nah, you don't really pressure people to give something like that, especially when it comes to you want to be appreciated. There is no way you force people to appreciate you when you yourself think you've done nothing for them. You need to deserve it rather than having to force people to do so. But at the same time, there are extreme levels where people think, like for instance, me myself feel like I do not deserve such things from people. I rather do it for myself. Yeah. And that is me most of the time. And for me, since we know like what are the love language already, like, what is self love language? I mean, it's the same, but it's the same as like how you give to people, but then this is in this category or term or topic or whatever it is or station. If I were to like read self-love language. The first one, affirmation, using your words to build yourself up. Positive self-talk, being your biggest cheerleader. You know, the same way how people always say, hey, you need to love yourself more. How? You're doing great. That is one thing. But at the same time, what about the other four? There are many ways that you can actually give care or love yourself more. And since there are four more, the acts of service is give yourself what you need when you need it, serve a higher power, take care of your basic needs. If I were to give, like for instance, cleaning your own room, some people have this idea or this satisfactory when they clean their own room, like, finally I clean my own room because I'm living and sleeping in my own room. Then hey, I mean, at the same time, when you think about it, when you clean your own room, you feel satisfied with it, right? There is no way you'll be like, I don't like it. I mean, you won't like it if it's like 100 or 180-degree change, like the bed is on the other side or the bed is upside down. I mean, who knows? I mean, some people can't stand changes, so that pretty much is not for you. And hey, once again, it's not wrong. The other one would be giving gifts. This one, as I mentioned before, like I actually mentioned, like I reward myself by buying stuff for myself. Then I would be like, hey, I deserved it for doing something. And the explanation for giving yourself or rewarding yourself is like investing in yourself, spending money on your hobbies, buying yourself little gifts. And yeah, some people, I mean, in an extreme way, some people are actually very materialistic. I mean, in an extreme way, it's bad, but at the same time, if it's like done moderately, then it's fine. You're not actually endangering people around you nor yourself. Unless you're spending too much on yourself, then you might want to think on like saving at least, yeah. And the other one is the quality time. How do you actually give quality time to yourself? One thing that I could actually need is sleeping. Yeah, just sleep. Because, for instance, you're super duper tired, like you work one hell of a week, like on a project or marking papers or performing in concerts or something and gigs, etc. And you're like, this is tiring. I am not the type of person who makes wah 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 or make noises. So you lie down in your bed and just like probably just play music like lo-fi or ballad, whatever you like, something that is calming. And then in a dark room, I mean, depending like if it's in the morning, pretty much, I don't know, but mostly at night, you will like just stare at the ceiling and be like, yeah, this is nice. Yeah, having solitude, that's the word. Be there for yourself more than having to spend more of your time with other people. Because, I mean, this is a very introverted punya thing. I mean, it's not wrong. Being introvert or extrovert, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you're an introvert, pretty much when you're spending too much time outside, I mean, because I understand. Because whenever I spend too much time like with people, I need the time to recharge for myself because I am actually just a very quiet person or just silent most of the time. I mean, in this life, there is a thing called balance or counterbalance, etc. Blah blah, whatever the term is. But if you're constantly like, if you're constantly talking to someone for a week, then obviously you will be quite drained or very drained from that. Then you will be like, I want to have a moment of silence. Not that you're dead, but you just want silence and solitude for yourself because, hey, you deserve it and you want it. Or another form would be what? This is another weird example for balance in life. And it is in terms of meals, like having meals. Today I ate rice. Tomorrow I eat noodles. And the day after, I'll be like, oh, yesterday I ate noodles. Oh, and yesterday I ate nasi. I ate rice. What should I eat? I'm going to eat steak. Yeah, that's my idea of not balanced diet. It's just balanced way of eating. I don't want to eat something same for the next like for the next 7 days. I'm going to eat something same. I don't really like not really understand. It's more of a I cannot stand that. And when some people say, if you were to choose one food that you can eat for the rest of your life and cannot eat something else, what would you choose? I cannot answer because I get tired easily, or I muak from doing something same. Like I need spices to something in life. I won't do something same unless it's like this podcast. I mean, uploading frequently as much as it's like regular and then apa sama je, but then at the same time different topics, different way, and how I spice it, like I make challenges to myself, and then hey, that's how I prefer doing things. I mean, I think it goes to every single person in this world, on this earth, whoever you are, wherever you are, even if you're a fish. I don't know if fishes do that, but then who knows? Yeah, the spices, adventure, yeah, adventure. And the last, the last thing would be physical touch. How do you actually spend yourself with physical touch? And I know some people will be thinking in a very lewd, perverted way. But hey, if you think that is true, then dipersilakan. I'm not really. It's not my problem. Not my. You know, I'm not going to meddle in your way of physical touch to yourself. Then dipersilakan. But in terms of self-care, self-care or self-love with physical touch, it can be yoga, spa, getting massages, just doing something for your body, or probably a foot bath. People should try foot bath. I mean, if you don't have anything, just dip your feet in hot water with salt and a bit of essential oil, or just a bit of fragrance. Anything. Not garlic, not too much garlic lah. But something that smells nice, like lavender, lemon, rose. I mean, if just buy essential oil. And then, if you have a baldi or a, what do you call baldi in English again? Yeah, baldi lah. And you fill with not warm. Please just use hot water because I tried. I used like just plain warm water. It went warm to cold in a very short period of time. So I would actually recommend just use hot water. That is for foot bath lah. But at the same time, if you have like shower, then just shower with hot water. Just like trust me, it feels nice. And also, this is something that is not listed in the category. There are two extra, not really two extra, probably just one, but then the another one is the best form of love language. And if there is another category of like showing care, it will be just pretty much sharing something that you like to someone that you like. Hey, you like something, like you like music, like something that people don't actually listen much, indie songs. Then you be like, and then you met someone, hey, this person is very nice, and you're like, I want to share something because just to share. I mean, not really sharing as in like, I don't know how to feel, because the group of friends that I have, sometimes I think everyone does this. We share music with people that we like, or like, hey, I think you would like this, and I like this also. Would you care to listen or try to listen? Who knows, you will listen to every single song from that artist. And another, the most effective way of showing someone that you care, apa kan? This is something that people are unable to do because I guess we're just very shy. we're just like, I hope I'm not being misunderstood or something like that. I just want to show, because yeah, when you like someone, it does not have to be sexual. I mean, at the same time, some people just think that way, but I would like to emphasize that not every form of love should be sexual. Mm-mm. And the best love language lah to ni kan is actually to just communicate. I mean, as much as it's words of affirmation, but communicate is actually just say lah, hey, are you okay? Then that kind of like, you know, just say it. Yeah, we're just shy when it comes to this kind of thing. We are not familiar with such. Hey, I like you. But not that I want to be your boyfriend or girlfriend. I just like being with you. Can we be friends forever? Which is a very weird thing to say lah, but at the same time, yeah, you just want to say something. Because you can't do anything, like I cannot buy gifts like apa can, or I cannot do something because I'm not good at doing so, like giving massages ke apa, or I cannot give my quality time to you because I'm constantly busy. Yeah. Or I cannot hug you, or I cannot give you head pats because I have allergies with humans. Who knows? So the best form of like showing that you care, you love someone is pretty much just communication. By communicate and just say whatever it is, whatever the situation is. Yeah, I guess yeah. So to end it, not really to end lah. So my hypothesis, or my like not really summary lah, my thought, is it agreeable? Is it a yes or a nay that whatever we give to people is actually something that we want the most or we lack? Let me rephrase that. Your love language, your default love language, which is what you give to people, is actually something that not only you want to receive the most, but also you lack or you deprived of. Yeah. Is it agreeable? Or yeah, what's your thought? Is what I would say. So yeah. Woo. And wow, that is actually long. What the hell? So I guess that is all from Zolomoli's Thoughts and Knots podcast. And before that, I actually have like clips. I started clipping my podcast, and I'm on Instagram also. The podcast is on Instagram. Of course, I'm on Instagram. I have an Instagram account for this podcast, and if you're just like, oh, I cannot listen to the whole thing, I just want to listen to something, then I clip. There's clips of it. I clip it and I put it on Instagram, but at the same time I also put it on TikTok. And at the same time, it's just, I'm just trying out platforms. Whichever actually functions or benefits me, I'll just keep on putting until it works. Because Reels, if you actually present or aware of it, the engagement rate or viewer rate of Instagram Reels is higher than TikTok nowadays. And that is why people are moving to Instagram Reels again. Moving back to Instagram, using Reels. And if you're not using Reels, you are actually rugi, depending on you lah. You don't really have to use it anyway. Do follow this podcast on Instagram. I mean, it's just clips anyway. Yeah. So yeah, once again, that is all from Zolmoli's Thoughts and Knots podcast. It has been Zolmoli. Bye bye.